And Alien Worlds even have a banner there. But just look at it from what we are doing. How sad is it that for Comic-Con, Alien Worlds is not really a game-ish. There is a lot with it, but it's hard to grab people. They have a better chance of grabbing with their own art or small card games like Dark Country or something like Splinterlands would do way better there than we would. But at the same time, we have some of the most amazing characters. And what we could have done, or what we should do next time, is getting Comic-Con people to dress up like Alien Worlds characters. We have a lot of characters in this game. And have you ever seen Comic-Con cosplayers? We could really do some marketing if we got some of them to dress up like Alien Worlds avatars and show up at a booth at an event like that, or another event, because they are actually willing to do stuff. I know cosplayers from Denmark, and if you tell them to, hey, we need you to show up in something like this, this, and this, even give them a picture, give them 3 weeks, they come in custom-made suits and stuff. They've built themselves and ready to play. They're ready to play that role, be the peacekeeper, be the Viking or the northern, the female, or whatever. We need some of that, and right now the biggest thing we have is Birmingham. So just wanted to bring that up there because I know you love art, and that's a really big art community-driven stuff that we, as a community, not with WAGs, not with anything, there was a community-based effort. And now getting sponsored a little bit by some other projects, but community-based effort that brought us to Comic-Con Birmingham. So just want to bring that in there.
I'm a huge fan of all these efforts, but I'm also a fan on top of that of centers of gravity. So for example, Comic-Con could be a center of gravity, but I think what would be helpful is to create an overall center of gravity, which promotes things like what you just talked about, the Comic-Con and other thing. It's kind of that place where communications and events and that occur. And since we're talking Alien Worlds, I would just put a center for that somewhere within Alien Worlds and make it as real as possible. And then that just becomes one of the events. Comic-Con becomes one of the events leading up to the big event that talks overall about how do we do this. And then you can have people show up, yeah, I was at Comic-Con, here's what I saw, wasn't it great? So these things can happen independently and should, but the purpose of a center of gravity is for all those other activities. I think to do too, a center for governance and a center for art or creativity or digital art, I don't know what we want to call it, but that's what I'm recommending. We create a place to anchor these events and to promote the other events. So am I making sense?
Definitely makes sense to me. If you were making content, I'm not sure about that yet, but definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I like, Eric, the setting a date for an annual event. I like these events that you're talking about, Danish, that we can bring smaller and local events into. And what we talked about before was, simple card games and some sort of interactive game that we can do at these small events that integrate art and communities, some sort of gamification of a game that we can build up and market and viral out, that, we can come together like a meeting like this, but what fun activity could we play before this that slowly slips in some consensus? Like I said, before you get the claim button, we all come to consensus and vote on who's has the best avatar or who had the best costume. But integrating that small game of cards, like we mentioned, how do we integrate Alien Worlds NFTs? Maybe to enter the game, you have an Alien Worlds NFT, you burn it and you select which one of the this week's artist communities are part of the game, and it's just a simple card game of some sort. And we build that as just as the intro meeting to the bigger event or why we got together. If we're all coming together for some beers at a meetup, hey, this is what we're doing to instead of putting $2 on the table to join the event, you're doing this little card and we're interacting this way. And then we can like post those on videos, get that viral, get something like that. So definitely let's work on this. I have a meeting on Mondays. Danish, you're hosting events. Let's flush this out. Eric's got the management and the mind on how to funnel this into a bigger event. We have a lot of groups reaching out right now that want to do smaller meetups, but they're like, it's not enough just to go onboard them just to press the click and play button. And we have the whole DAOs to fund some of these, some fun interaction game. I know that we can start something that that can lead us down that path, right? So that's my 2 bits. I guess there's a time change, so I appreciate that we have a couple more people. I did really want to get back on a consensus like little meeting here. So maybe if everyone's up for it, we can break in rooms. The advantage of it is really, we're all doing like a lot of work. It's not probably, you probably didn't come for the NFTs and the Trillium today, but just we can use this as marketing for all the other candidates of what we're all doing, because as people here are working on projects that will be putting in grants to custodians and to the DAOs. So I think it's just a nice way for us to update, and I'll post these to the KROWN channel. So if you guys are into it, we can keep it open for a couple more minutes for open dialogue, but go through a simple consensus of just basically a check-in. What have you done? Go through our fractal governance, and I'm really hoping that we could use this in our bigger DAOs to reward people. It's just way easier to give out grant money for people that have actually done things instead of promising things. But yeah, Danish, you got your hand up. Did we lose you, Danish?
I did, at least.
Oh, there we go. There you go.
You're still gone.
We can hear you.
Yeah, the last thing we heard you say was it's a lot easier to give out grant money to people who
Are doing.
But yeah, doing stuff probably, for sure. I don't know. I just want to intervene there and have a quick input to the earlier, and then I can go ahead with all what I heard being said was kind of, we want something like the game Among Us, where you play a game and in between playing the game, you get interrupted by people needing to come to consensus who is the villain.
Meeting.
And they often don't and throw the wrong people out of it. But if any one of you know the game Among Us, it kind of seems like something like that we want to get into what we're doing here. But yes, let me go back to what I've done, and let's start there maybe. I have, in this week alone, been doing Twitter Spaces every day for a minimum of 10 hours. Me and my team has built tool.safewax.com, which is an all-in-one, or quote unquote, is gonna be an all-in-one stats and utility page for everything Alien Worlds. It's live, it's up there, it's free to use. It will have more functions coming if we can get that funded somehow, because there is a lot of work going into this, but we're building it, we're doing it anyways. I have been talking to different places to try to make some events, both metaverse and otherwise. Me and Lisa did a custodian party mix up in metaverses yesterday, where we was both in Twitter Spaces and in Mobsworth and in the last one I can't remember what's called anymore. The one Lisa shared around in the group yesterday. We were in all three places at once, and even there, I also made onboarding in both the metaverses. It was a bit conflicting because they actually started talking at me at the same time, but it worked out. But that's some of the things that I have done in the last week. Yeah. I guess no one.
Yeah, my internet's a bit spotty. I was going to break us into to maybe 2 rooms to do our kind of consensus, but I'm maybe just a thumbs up. Do people have time to do that? We've got probably take us about 40 minutes or something.
I'm good with that. Is everyone aware of the process though?
Yeah, I'll describe the process. It's random rooms, so I'm going to usually 6 people per room, and Danish already gave his intro, so you maybe could skip over his and go through the rest of it. Everyone just has about 3 minutes to say what they've done, and then the second part is we all vote on who we think did the best, most contributions. And with that, we just kind of rank people. And with that, I'll give out a non-transferrable badge that over time shows our respect of how much people have contributed. And then there's Trillium rewards as well. But usually we just break into rooms of 6. It's based off the fractal process. So I can do that right now. And I'll give some recording abilities. So the people that are not in my room, if you are able to press record, I'd really appreciate it. And then we can kind of post this to kind of show what this consensus or fractal governance process is all about. If you haven't done anything specific for Alien Worlds, you just come into consensus is kind of the point. So you can just explain your passions or why you're here. And with that, if you have any questions, yeah. Does anybody have any questions, or should we just go?
I got something. So I just played planning poker today for the second time, and there's like this tool website, Scrum Poker, and I think it's pretty similar to what we're doing there. And it's a tool that is pretty ready-made, except it doesn't sum up the points and categories of a ranking of 6 or 5, but it has like a relative score. But I think it could be a very helpful tool, very close to what we're doing, and speed up the process immensely. And it looks also like similar to what the guys over at Fractally are developing, the mobile tool. If anyone has seen that, Scrum Poker website, anyone know what I'm talking about?
Scrum Poker?
Yeah, let me pull that up. I'll send that in the chat. It's basically, everyone like says, okay, what is it? And everyone is on the site in the same room, and then we agree on a score, but it is hidden until the moderator decides to show it. And then basically after collecting everyone's score, we can kind of come to sort them in the ranking pretty easy. And if there's any conflicts, well, we can talk about that. But since the scores given are in a exponential scale, it should be pretty easy to have them sorted right away. So anyone who ever did that probably knows what I'm talking about. I don't know what the knowledge in this group is about this. It's new to me, but I think maybe among developers it's more known. Put it in the chat, the website. But maybe that's too much for one day to look at. But it looked super quick, like really. I feel the time we spent on just kind of the overhead of putting this in the chat and all that could give us more time to answer questions or yeah.
Nice.
And it's very straightforward. So you really, the moderator saves a ton of time, and we can focus on the content, I think. Basically, everyone just votes. And then when everyone has voted, you go show, and you can look at what is the general score. And then you say delete results, and you go to the next item. So next item would be the next person to rank in our case. So really straightforward tool, really easy to use. And you just choose a room in the beginning, and then you share the link to the room to everyone in the chat, and everyone goes there, and that's the connection. Well, we don't have to try it now. I just wanted to bring it up. I think it might be really cool to use maybe in the future.
Yeah, let's. I like it. I'll check it out and we'll see if we can kind of implement it next week.
Sweet.
Nice. All right. I think maybe let's give us 40 minutes, so we'll kind of come back to this breakout room at in about 40 minutes. All right. Let's see here. So we've got 2 rooms of 5. Awesome. All right, guys. There's probably enough people. If you're new to it, there's enough people that have kind of gone through the process, so you can kind of help out. But yeah, just kind of an intro, and then we post who we think gave the best or most contributions kind of in the chat, starting with the most all the way down. All right, so I'll see you guys in a bit here.
Hey there.
So why are you not showing up and talking in my spaces, huh? Oh.
Hey everyone.
Who isn't?
I think we're all here, aren't we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, I'm missing one. There we are.
We got it. All right. Well, thanks, Danish. I think we heard yours, so we can kind of go to next. Anyone want to volunteer? And Eric, I appreciate you always putting up that timer if you could. I can go first if no one's.
I am on my iPad.
Oh, okay.
I can't put up the timer today. It only works on my computer.
Oh, gotcha. I can keep time. It's pretty simple. No worries.
I do have a timer going on my phone here, but
okay, perfect. Very nice. Let's see. So this week I've done a lot of personal.
do you want me to put a timer for individuals or just a timer for the?
Yeah, timer for individuals too. Give us 3 minutes and stuff, so we kind of keep on track, I guess.
3 minutes.
Sure. This week I'm up in the amazing mountains of Costa Rica. So this week was a lot of self-work. See if I can. Sure, if you can see these amazing mountains behind me, but yeah, my goal was, there's this little narrative in your head. Oh, sorry, camera problems. Narrative in your head that gets in the way of growth and is kind of critical. And I noticed myself getting angry at things that I shouldn't get angry at. So came up to a week-long retreat. And yeah, it might be weird for a governance call, but I just need to share what I feel is the most important thing in life. And it's this self-love and just, forgiving yourself and loving everybody. And it sounds like just words, but putting it into practice of just breathing and knowing that we have the choice of how we live every day and what's in my mind, and being able to catch that little narrative and kind of see it and go, oh, I see you. And when you see it, it kind of hides and you can just be the best version of yourself. So some practices I've learned to do that is just really deep breathing, journaling, and in a relationship where it's hard to share emotions and stuff. So I've been really trying to improve myself, and I think it's going to be the biggest gift I can give to this community and everyone else in the world. So the amount of support that other people have given me in this journey has been incredible. Specifically to Alien Worlds, I was excited last week on the inaugural first, people elected to DAOs. I've had Trillium staked forever, and I signed up for 2 DAOs, and we didn't do as much as I anticipated. More hesitation on interpretation of rules and legalities. But I was really happy that we did get a proposal out in Ike to have a signal station up at wax.consortium.vote to get a signal from the community. I feel that one of the groups I'm part of is Kinder Miners, and we started a political party, and I will become more political in the sense of posting publicly available things that are on the blockchain to voice my views of what I think is fair and right and just, and I'm not here to call people bad or not good, but just post real results and saying I believe in voting for 2 people. I believe in voting with 1 account. I believe in being transparent, and who I am. So yeah, going to be a little bit more political that way, and looking for other political allies so that we can have that mission and voice of what we feel is important in governance. So thanks, guys. I'll pass it on to Eric.
Wow, 2 seconds to spare. You're good. Yeah, I always, my mission is doing fractally. How do we get community involved? How do we do things which really get governing in place? I always learn. So one of them, I'm always reading a book, an article, a page, something like that. Still working on the network state, but I also talk to my professor, since I have to write a 30 to 50 page paper every 8 weeks. Said, can I do my paper? Made a proposal that I submitted on doing fractally in this effort. He said, cool, so that's been approved. So good, I can spend my school time going and researching articles and writing and putting ideas down. So that's pretty cool. Still, I'm editing the, I had about a 3 weeks delay because of some medical stuff. So I'm about 4 weeks behind on editing building the metaverse, but we're still doing the Metaverse Mondays live stream. Happy to carry forward on any topic anybody wants to have. You're welcome to come or just suggest the topic, and glad to do that. I made a proposal moving up. We're on like the 3rd proposal for the Fallbrook Art Association. I also talked to the Fallbrook Chamber about this stuff in a very generic way, California Miramar University, and a place called Michelle's Place, about actually doing fractally. So the big thing is proposing a Center for Governance and a Center for Creative Arts, actually linking that with real events that we are doing in the community that I want to move on the digitally. And in doing that, I got another art center too. So we've got our art association, and now we have 2 art associations that are working together, one in the West, one in the Midwest, to actually take this template and do it. goal is actually to put up these galleries and put them on a planet. And part of the galleries are game, but part of it is also art for business, art for education, art for special needs, art for, so we've actually agreed to come up with those categories. Other than that, just moving ahead on my doctoral dissertation, which is all about doing this stuff. And we've started a Go Fractally, a group with some of the Go Fractally team. So if anybody actually wants to talk about really using the tools to do that with the team, Duane already gave him your email. I figured you'd be interested. And anybody else?
So, hey everyone, yeah, I'm just with the whole DAO release right now, seeing how the reactions are. Keeping my ears and eyes open. I'm not in any, not in all the channels, not in the planetary channels yet, but you know, in the council, planetary council channel, and just generally collecting that, making sure feedback is captured. So I'm with the product and support team with Alien Worlds. So I am, per policy, I'm not able to be involved personally with the DAOs for 60 days after the launch. So I'm more in a supportive role, you would say, trying to capture things that are important or were left out, or yeah, things like that. So I'm listening and making sure things get to the right people, gaps get closed, and so on. To that end, I can say next week will be a lot of gaps closed in the UI and things that people felt are big misses. They were partially intentionally left out to get a first version out, and then in the next week and week after, the plans were to get these things quickly added on. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, thanks guys, that's all.
Should I go next then?
Oh, right. Yeah, Dan. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thank you, David. Good. It's great seeing you again. And yeah, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate this whole meeting and what everybody's doing. So I will share my screen. I don't have my normal setup with the green screen. So I'll share my screen and I'll share a little window of some of the things that I presented yesterday at the Eden Fractal event as well, to show what I've been doing just to help in general. And sorry, bear with me while I find it. Got it. Okay, cool. So this is a show that I'm working on called Creator Talk. I'm going to be releasing in the next couple of days. I did an interview with Dadas about the Eden Plus fractal process, but this actually isn't where I meant to start. So maybe I'll come back to that as the ending. Also a bit disorganized, so I apologize for that another time, but I'll try to be quick. So I produced a video for the Eden Fractal 22 meeting. I host these meetings every week. And so I produced a video with thumbnail and some music and stuff in the beginning. And then I also made some timestamps to make it easy for people to see these events. These are every Wednesday. Now that 16 UTC, starting at 16 UTC, or actually 15:30 UTC will be meeting, but the breakout rooms are then. Just last week, we passed a proposal, our second proposal to change the time. So that's really cool. And then I also produced another video of my presentation. I gave presentations at each of these meetings. I think everybody knows, but I'm kind of giving a bit more of a general overview for Danish Crypto as well, because I'm not sure if we've been in a room. By the way, Danish Crypto, I've been listening to you speak at these meetings, and I really appreciate what you're sharing. So thank you very much, and looking forward to getting to know you more. Yeah, so I'm starting to produce videos of like these presentations that I'm giving at these fractal meetings. So I produced one last week where it's like a 9-minute conversation where I gave a presentation and then we spoke about it for a little while, spoke about some different projects. So I spoke about what I was doing with the EVM X Ideathon last week. I made some videos and I submitted 5 different ideas in there. So I made videos, and then I also have at edencreators.com/ideathon. There's a bunch of text about ideathons. Most of this work I did a week or 2 ago, but this week I just produced some of the shorter videos and made some slight tweaks and so forth. So there's that. And then there's several ideas that I shared there. One of them was called Signals, which is using consortium like Duane was talking about. It's a really powerful and helpful tool for people to signal what people are thinking. So I made a page like that a couple weeks ago, and then this week I just made a video about it, or I produced the video rather from the longer video because it was originally a very long video. I did the same thing with DAMS, which stands for Decentralized Autonomous Movie Studios, which it ties into what I'm thinking about a lot here. We're basically at these faculty meetings, we can work together to make videos that are really awesome, and this can be a great way for communities to make videos. And so there's lots of information here. This was all past few weeks I did this, providing this introduction, but a lot of stuff I've been working on for a lot longer. And then also I just produced the videos this week. I also made a couple changes to the website, the edencreators.com site. There's a garden page where it just has a lot of these articles put together in one place where people can see them. So I organized that a lot better this week. And I also made some updates to the events page as well. And then I just kind of messaged a lot. I'm very active in the Eden community on EOS. So I messaged a lot about different projects that the Eden community is doing on, and just trying to participate and help the community as much as possible. So there's lots of different things where I shared these videos or shared updates about what we did in the Eden Fractal meeting and so forth, and help facilitate the proposal to change the time, and then made a new proposal to make sure consensus submissions are correct. And I'm starting to write a new article called Rules to set some good rules up. And then I made a proposal for that as well on consortium. And then yep, that's basically it. And there's also the Creator Talk podcast, which I'm excited to share in a couple of days, but I'm probably over time now, so I'll stop it. Thank you. And sorry for being so disorganized and taking so long. I'm on a travel computer setup, so I'm a little bit confused.
Nice. Thanks so much. Yeah, we've taken the lead from the Eden Fractal meeting. So Dan, I really appreciate all your work. One of the changes is the a non-transferable token. I haven't done them yet, so after I'll get some feedback from the community, but I was just thinking of a non-transferable NFT instead of a token that shows what everyone received as far as the respect every week. So that's coming soon. But yeah, the choice to go from transferable to non-transferable with liabilities, and just kind of having that leaderboard that, you know, instead of, it just doesn't make sense if this is kind of building up a long-term average of what the community feels is your respect level, that those are transferable. And then any community, like say if it was the custodians of planets or candidates of planets or different community members, they could use this as kind of a leaderboard, then to reward the community with tokens or other things. So kind of trying to set the precedent that this could be just a long-term respect level outside of token weighted voting, because we know that that can kind of be controlled by whales, and that if this kind of catches on, it's a proof of person, it's respect, and yeah, hopefully that we can kind of use this in our alien worlds DAOs, and yeah, anyways. All right, let's maybe get to the consensus part. So the highest level, mythical, I'm going to put level 6 because I'm just used to it. All right, so
That sounds good.
I'll kind of do I'll do a countdown of like, if everyone has the name they want to put in, who they think gave the most contributions. If you have that name in the chat, I'll do a countdown of 3, 2, 1, and we'll just all press enter. So just give me kind of a thumbs up when you have your name in the chat. All good? All right. So 3, 2, 1, post.
You're muted right now, Danish.
I can't send in there. I don't want to click.
Oh, you can just say it out loud then, and I'll post it for you, I guess.
But Dan has done a lot, definitely.
Okay.
Thanks, Danish. I voted for you. You've done a lot. You've done a huge amount that I've really been appreciating, as I mentioned before. And also a couple of things that might be worth noting is one, I think that, well, I'm not sure. I've only started noticing you joining for the past few weeks or past month or so. But I've been joining for a long time and earning respect with Alien Worlds Fractal. So I think it's also great to reward people who are newer too, and inspire you to keep coming back and keep contributing. So I think that's cool. And I also do get respect from the Eden Fractal as well too. So I haven't done very much specifically for the Alien Worlds Fractal this week or the past few weeks, but I am very excited to help Alien Worlds community. And I've been thinking about it a lot more with all the syndicates excitement and stuff like that too. So just some considerations and some reasons why I advocate for Danish crypto.
Yeah, I
Well,
voted.
Danish has also been putting in hours, and I don't mean hours, I mean hours, just talking about Alien Worlds to everybody.
Yeah, and you're
Only
allowed, you're allowed to vote
average
for
on
yourself, too.
10 to 12 hours a day to a maximum of 18. But again, I'm here anyways working, so I just feel like it was a way to interact more with the communities and do stuff. But also for Dan's question, I've been part of the ESBs, and I'm also a Eden member, but because of all the quote unquote bad structure and when the meetings has been, it has been really hard for me to participate in all of them. Like even looking at Lisa's calendar here, there's things going on every day at all times of the day. It's really hard sometimes to participate, but I am a member and I have been trying to engage myself more there, because this government aspect of it is actually something I really like, even though, as we talked about earlier, not many people like to talk about those two topics. But yeah, continue.
Cool. Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for explaining. And I heard you saying 12 to 18 hours. That sounds like a huge amount of work. So I don't blame you for not being able to make some meetings. But yeah, thank you for all you're doing. And whenever you're available, it's great seeing you.
I would back up Danish for the #1 spot of the results of all that interaction and time online for this governance has also been a lot of new people being onboarded, into Alien Worlds. So we're almost at consensus. We have 3 votes for Danish and 2 for Dan. And Danish, you can change your vote. You're allowed to vote for yourself. So in the name of consensus, you can vote for yourself and get level 6 here.
I really don't like that aspect, but that's, again, I never do normally vote for myself. Also not on my proposals. I don't want to approve my own proposals. I have a really hard standard there, so I really don't want to do that. So
that's fine. You don't have to, and I appreciate that. And what we found over this process is a lot of people would never vote for themselves, and then it just is empowering sometimes to do that as well. You know what I mean? This isn't swaying a vote. You're not twisting anyone's arm. You're almost at consensus. And I've seen people grow into, when they are very proud and kind of realize, yeah, they did a lot, to own it. And but I appreciate your stance on that as well. The one thing that one of our members, Jason, was always saying in these consensus, there's just getting through consensus for the sake of it, so that we have to come to consensus to get our earnings. But then there's enthusiastic in consensus, when we have everyone, 100%, all 5 people into consensus. And we always want to strive for enthusiastic in consensus. But sometimes, to get the process done, just like the DAOs we're doing, sometimes you move things forward. We just have to vote. We do have David as well. So David has a choice as well to come to consensus. And it could go other way.
Dave.
Anyone can change their vote and could go vote for Dan too. I'm not swaying anything.
I would encourage David to vote for Danish.
Yeah, well, looking at it from another, well, I changed my vote to Danish because he is more specifically doing things about alien worlds, I feel. So I would give him the first spot just because of that.
Yeah, I already voted for Dan the first at Eden, so he's already got my first spot.
So yeah, I
Much
changed my vote.
appreciated.
Thanks, Eric.
Much appreciated.
All right, on to the next one. It's tough, guys.
Yes.
Just worked this time.
Right, just give me a thumbs up when everyone's got the name in there. All right, 3, 2, 1, post. All right, got another 3-2 split.
All right, nice. So, and I voted for Duane, and Duane voted for me. So I'll also advocate for Duane here too. I mean, Duane hosts these meetings and does an awesome job. And I also appreciate that Duane wanted to take some time off and treat himself too. I think that's really important to be in a good mindset so that you can be as helpful for yourself enjoying it, and then also helpful for the community. And just in general, Duane is always very well spoken and inspiring and a great leader. And he's doing a lot more specifically for Alien Worlds than myself. So I'm happy to respect Duane here. But I'm also happy to go either way. I don't want to make it too difficult for anybody either. And I'm just here to have a good time. Does anybody else have any thoughts? Does anybody else want to switch their votes to Duane after that? Or? And by the way, I also very much appreciate the votes and the respect too. So I should have said that earlier. But thank you very much. But thank you very much.
Yeah, even though it's not Alien World specific, Dan, you're leading the pack as far as content creation. And yeah, I've been following your lead on consortium and just different ways to, I haven't spent as much time thinking how to rebrand and get this group activated. So the non-fungible tokens, consortium for voting, the whole votes. So yeah, just really, even though it's maybe not specific to Alien Worlds, it helps us out, right? So, and you've been very
for me, it's actually more specific to Alien Worlds because I view taking Dan's dams and putting it in our creative art studio and hooking it up to my studio. So that's whenever I look at Dan, that's what I think of is we're creating these physical studios linked to digital studios and using bees to promote it. So I see his video work as setting up the foundation to drive the video studio we set up within Alien Worlds. So that's my link.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I hadn't thought about that specifically, but I agree, and I am stoked about how the dams can work with the Alien Worlds. That's also, by the way, at edencreators.com/dams. I can share a link if anyone wants to look into that in more detail. And I'd love to hear if anybody has any other ideas or feedback about that. But yeah, and then also I want to say, oh, what's that?
But my hope is to actually start launching this with the studio get approval in January. So there's a 3-step approval. We've gone through 2. So basically set up a fractal to manage the studio, and events. So events and studio both, one for events, one for studio. So I'm hoping to take your work for that, plus the NFT studio. So a video studio and an NFT studio for the digital space. Anyway, too much talk, but
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it, especially the synergies with the local and physical studios and the artists that you're working with. That sounds super cool. And also the collaborations with the bees too. And thank you, Danish, for that. I just shared a link to the dance, by the way, in the chat if anyone wants to see it. And another thing I want to say too is I just want to say thanks to Duane, because he's been doing a really great job of hosting meetings and doing it with a different kind of style. Over the past couple of weeks, we haven't been doing the fractal meetings, the fractal process like this, and which is a different kind of hosting. But Duane's been doing a really great job, you know, asking people questions and like hosting and just providing a great experience. So I just wanted to also thank you, Duane, for that. I've just been listening for most of it, but it's been really insightful hearing everybody speak, and you played an awesome role in facilitating that all.
I'm excited to cross over a lot of these tools to EOS, right? So it's kind of cool that that we have great tools on EOS and crossing it over, you know, the alien worlds. So that's kind of cool, seeing new community leaders come in, you know, from EOS with great communities. So yeah, it's super exciting. I appreciate it. To vote. Oh,
What's up?
sorry, mic went out. I think we got consensus. Dana's changed the vote, and I'm in the sake of consensus, I'll change it. So I think we got consensus for me on that one. So we'll go on to level 4. All right, give me a thumbs up. All right, 3, 2, 1, post. Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right, level 3. All right, guys, 3, 2, 1, post. All right, we got a 3-2 split.
It's kind of like 2.5 split, really, because I didn't know what to do. So I had to make a choice, and I thought it was great to vote for Eric, or for David rather, because David's working directly on Alien Worlds, and I don't have that much visibility into it, but I think that's really valuable. And just in general, I always appreciate and enjoy speaking with David. And the same is absolutely true for Eric too, but I haven't seen David in a while, so that's part of the reason.
I always change my vote to Eric, so I enjoy the content I creating a podcast. I think that's valuable in creating inter-community relationships, and so that's why I voted like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
voted for
appreciate the
you,
votes, so thanks.
I voted for you, David, because again, yeah, I feel that having somebody that actually uses the time to check in, I now understand why you might haven't tipped in on the spaces, but you're still listening in and doing all that, and just gathering the different information, and you're like scoping over the different channels and so on to see and make feedback back to the team. To actually, that's important as well, even though like that's from a company standpoint, that information, we have people making reports like Lisa and others that makes report on what is else going on. Lenny was doing some reports as well, and all those are wonderful on another side. So you got my vote, because that's not an easy job either. That's a lot of hours. I know how many hours it can take to try to gather information, and so you got mine.
It's I value both of you so much. I've learned so much from both of you, and yeah, it is so tough. I could go either way. So yeah, and I'm just looking forward when we can all get in person. So, I put mine just a little edge on Eric because he's going to push me and I'm going to push him to have that event that we actually get to meet each other in person.
I think you should give your, if Eric is involved with that event, you should all give your vote to Eric, because that is super important. Like in-person events in this day and age are not old school. They are still fundamental. Actually, I need to jump over to, another meeting. But thanks a lot. It was great seeing you all again. And I'll try to come on more often. I really enjoy these calls and getting in touch with everyone again.
Yeah. and thanks-
We enjoy you too.
That's great.
You always give great insights and different perspectives, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, David. Great seeing you.
Bye, everyone.
See you, man.
With those words, I kind of feel like I kind of need to give Eric this, and it was not because I didn't want to give Eric this at all, because live events are important. But coming from David like that, and I've met David, and he is that kind of person. So let's give Eric this.
Sounds good. Yeah, Eric is doing incredible work. I didn't get the chance to say it, but I absolutely am happy to vote for Eric here. And I, like Duane, I've learned so much from Eric too, and I'm so excited to be working with you, and so excited to be working with all of you. So thank you.
I'll change my vote to me just so we can come to consensus. I'm quite happy with David getting it. I like coming to consensus even more. I never vote for myself the first time. I will if it drives consensus.
All right, looks like we have it then.
All right, just guys want to just double check that they got that list right.
Yeah.
That's right. Got a
Awesome.
lot of similar names.
Yeah. Well, hey, we've got an award-winning team just on this call. Some of the skills that I really admire is the development back-end skills. So Danish, working and having a team, that's not as common. That's a valuable resource. So I look forward to working with you to find this game interaction that we can embed into Eric's funnel to get people for these little mini meetings, and they can be coming together for different reasons, but just that little tie-in, like David just dropped that little what it was at the poker thing. I didn't really get it, to be honest, at first, but just something like that gives us an exchange of value, that does one little simple thing of consensus to make it fun. Like I like consistency, so I like that these meetings are consistent. So I like consistent things that are addicting to come together. But where this is a special thing that's very, niche for governance. And how do we just put in artists, put in a fun little game, a tiny consensus, and then build just that intro meeting to link into Alien Worlds, something hopefully that just goes viral.
Well, here's how I see it. I see Duane helping set up these centers for governance and centers for creativity. I help put events in there. Dan starts creating content for these events, and it goes viral with Danish doing these Twitter spaces for it and using his stuff with the bees in there. So to me, and then David's providing insight into it. So for me, it's just all one thing. That's just the way I always look at things. The only thing's missing out of this group in there is the digital art studio, which Danish has an interest in too, but we have a video expert. There's a lot of studio potentials for the digital studio part. So we need somebody to kind of help with the team going here as we produce events. And then, of course, when we link it to Lisa Bigo out there going mad, linking all the events to this and creating events on the fly. So it's really a very powerful team when you look at what we can do together.
That brings it all back to what Lisa started up saying, that we could have done much more in Alien Worlds over the last week if we actually worked together. And that's not just us here, because we seem to actually do pretty well talking and working together, but the whole syndicate councils are not working together like this, because we have planets that was willing to do events, we have planets that wants to do development, we have planets that wants to do onboarding, we have planets that want to do game stuff, but none of them like figure out that, hey, this guy from over here and this guy from over here wants to do this, so put them over here. And here, you're right, we have everyone basically to do this if we want to do this.
And Lisa and I have worked together for years, and where Lisa is, she's great at looking at the future and say, what can I do today to get us there? And I'm really good at saying, okay, but let's stack all those pieces together. Lisa's more like a lighthouse or a laser. here, which you really need. And I'm like more of, okay, but how does the system, how do all
you're the broad spotlight, and she's the laser target.
How do you go from objective to subjective to objective? How do you go from strategy to operations and tactics? How do you put those pieces together? How do you mix people with technology? So the key is, I helped start a nonprofit organization called the Maritime Alliance, and we set up a maritime cluster for sustainable technology-based businesses to promote the ocean economy, ocean and saltwater and freshwater. But one of the first things we did was figure out how to duplicate ourselves. So we helped start clusters in Nova Scotia and France, and then all these clusters came together with this group. The key is, if we can figure out this template, we can put it on other planets. If we put it on one planet, we can either duplicate it as another cluster, or we can have subclusters. In our cluster, we can have kind of like when they have those world fairs, and you have the Danish pavilion, the US pavilion, and
I definitely see it. I just saw the message before. We have 3 minutes left on the 40 minutes consulting here, or consensus meeting here. So yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, it's I'm glad to find somebody that actually has the same ideas and can look a little bit abroad, just what we normally have seen, because people are a bit narrower visioned, and I like the broader as well, because we can do more than we're doing here.
The key is, we have these people that do strategy all the time and it doesn't go anywhere. Then you have people doing these little events which have impacts, but they don't have the synergistic impact. So the biggest thing we can do is put those together.
Exactly. But 2 minutes, anything else anyone want to say before we need to jump back?
We need to get a proposal to set up one or both of these centers. To me, that's the next thing we need to come to consensus on, is let's do a proposal and let's figure out what these centers are. What is the goals and purpose of these centers, and where does it go? So to me, that's the next step, is let's set up a center, and then we can get artists to make it look good.
Yeah.
Create a location for it somewhere, put it in Alien Worlds. Maybe David can even help us do that. And then the first thing we do after that is we set up a big event with enough time to build for it.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Minimum of 3 months ahead. 6 months would probably be better, and you could even go
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, if you're available, let's talk about that when we get back to this main room, because I might not be in a position of power. I lost a seat in NERI, but I'm still part of IKE, and I can get consensus on IKE right now. And we have 2 weeks of budgets that we can put in a proposal. It's just a start, but we can at least get this started. And then we have other content creators and artists with Martin and Dot Gems and says Sudoku, is it Sudoku 18? You know what I mean? Both of them.
Seppuku.
Yes.
Seppuku
So
18.
yeah, so they both expressed and they have communities. So we have support from both of those as well, right? So, all right.
Well, Seppuku's agreed to
Seppuku.
set up NFT studio for the art association. Again, we now have 2 art associations that are going to be working on this template together.
And time is up.
Nice. Okay, I'll get us back to the main room here. Awesome, guys. That was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks so much. Great room, great meeting.
Of course, we are missing David, but David needed to go.
I guess maybe Duane's still having issues though.
You know, when everybody freezes, I panic for a minute till I see somebody else with it. I always think it's me first.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's my
That was here
internet.
too.
And I'll see Stephen move, and I'll go, "Oh, good, somebody else is moving." 'Cause it always
But
seems like we all.
Duane started the recording, so hopefully it's okay. But we seems to all be back except David. David needed to run to other meeting right at the end of our group's consensus. Or yeah. So I don't know how we are proceeding from here if Duane is not able to speak because he's normally the one running this, but I can try my best. I don't know how you guys are doing it, but are you sharing the list, sharing consensus?
Yeah, we just posted it in
We
chat.
usually put the consensus list in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, can one of you type that? My phone here is a little.
Yeah, I could just copy and paste what Duane wrote previously.
Yep.
And I think that Duane has the account names, and Duane's also apparently able to listen because he just posted it again.
Duane. I see Duane has sent messages. Can you talk, Duane? Or is
Yeah.
it still?
Internet's a bit spotty, so I'll keep my video.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah. Awesome. How was your breakout room, guys?
Awesome.
Enlightening.
Enlightening.
Enthusiastic consensus?
Oh yeah, baby. That was nice.
Yeah, it went pretty smoothly.
Run perfect in alignment. Yeah, with good people as always. Yeah.
Were you guys able to record by chance?
I was lazy,
That's
so
okay.
I forget to.
We couldn't bring ourselves to click a button. That's how lazy we were.
Yeah, the
There's
hard
no
part
trill-
about
there's no
consensus. is
trillium.
clicking the
Steven,
button.
you recorded, I'm sure.
You need to link Trillium to the record button and then
Gamify it.
Ah, yeah.
Noted, noted.
Okay.
First one to hit the record button gets the Trillium, something like that.
Ah, good incentivizing mechanism.
Gamifying the whole process. So then we gotta see 40 people sitting in here trying to click record first, just to.
Yeah. Nice. Looks nice.
So on our side, the topic came up again about voting for ourselves, and the consensus that or the conclusion we came to is because of the smaller numbers.
Yeah.
We left that as an option open. So, but it all worked out pretty well on our first round. So
We had the same problem in ours, and also had a need to change so we could vote for ourselves, even though a couple of us didn't really want to change our votes. But we came to consensus anyways, which was nice.
Most of us like voting for ourselves in the first round, but if we need consensus, we will. Just
hey, we just had elections in this country, and I honestly can't imagine a single one of those politicians walking in and voting for their opponent. So
it's definitely a hard aspect also looking at the Alien Worlds game where you need to vote for you or somebody and somebody else. So you're giving votes to two people, and like I only want to run or vote for myself, but it's yeah.
Well,
I definitely see it.
I was thinking that we have people here that probably some of you have experience putting in grants for Pomelo, and Pomelo's coming up again for another season. But I would urge you to also put in some proposals, and I think we're going to start by using the tool, the consortium tool, by putting in proposals for Ike. And the reason for Ike is that I have been able to come to consensus with the other candidates, at least for one more week. And we did not spend our pot of money last week, except just to start up consortium. So if you have some time, I'd like to kind of maybe flush that out. And I really, one of the things that I'd like to do is take up, Eric, on your proposal of, building a funnel to a annual event and starting that off. Oh, hopefully you can hear me. Starting that off in slow little deliverables. It seems like, the budget wouldn't be enough to support a whole year worth of stuff, but how do we come up with that goal of an end event? And what do we start right now? And what does that look like as a proposal? And this is just the one that we were talking in our room. I opened this up to, other proposals from the group as well, but maybe that's just a good starting point for us to kind of flush through the process.
I think the first thing is to set up basically centers of excellence, with the goal of those excellence being to find and promote other people in any way possible, including events. So now you have a place that does that. Just my thoughts.
Are these events metaverse events you're thinking?
Yep.
So you're aware of Digicon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure, but I think that their basic model, just from experiencing it as a vendor with a booth, is that they give away booths for free for the first month, and then booths after that are like $200 a month, and then that helps fund the whole thing. And then they've got a few corporate sponsors, which like NFT backers, Alien Worlds are the different ones that throw in more money to make it happen too. So I do agree. You got to find some of through a center for excellence, you got to find some of those excellent people first.
Well, so the center of excellence would be to help come up with strategies to say which events, like Danish was talking about Comic-Con and you talked about Digicon. And so when you start putting those and you say, okay, come to consensus, who wants to do those and how can we support you? So now what you're doing is when you're at Comic-Con, you're supporting, come visit us at Digicon, and you're funneling, when you're showing up there, you're having centers to support, come play Alien Worlds, come to this studio. In other words, you've got a story to tell other than, hey, we're good. And by the way, I did in the corporate world 1 to 5 events a month all over the world for a decade. And in every capacity, from attending to speaking to having a booth to hosting the event. So I've done everything from tables to 30 by 40 foot 3-story booths. And the big thing that we did is the group I was in, we did about 60 events ourselves. The company did way more than that, but we did 60 events ourselves. So we had to say, all right, which ones are we going to cover and why? So, and who's going? So that was always a good process, is to not just show up, but to understand why and understand how these events can build on each other. But you can also, if you have speakers at these events, so you know, or you can take Dan's video stream, for example, and you can have people turn that gamify to figure out who people want to hear, and then you invite them as panelists or whatever at these events. So if he's doing this stuff every week, you can use those to say, here are the people, and then you can capture them and put that into playlists and packages on, here's a bunch of speakers on the topic of whatever, anchoring NFTs and, you know, concrete backing. So, I mean, you can do whatever. So I haven't really talked about this, but there's a lot more potential to build those into funnels if you think about it at the start from that way. But so that's
definitely,
something.
there definitely
we
is.
put
And oh, sorry.
Do we put in a proposal for an event and say, oh yeah, then we'll create a place, and this is something that your expertise can help? Or do we create a place and use that to host an event? I don't know. I don't know which one makes more sense. Logically, it makes more sense to have the organization and the place and then do the event, but practically might be different. Maybe Nova Crypto Patrick has more ideas on that.
About what? To share events?
Yeah, whether it makes more sense to put in a grant to set up a center that does this, promotes events, or does it make more sense to promote an event and then use that? So what is the, strategically, not having done these specific events, what is the best strategy? Do people care more about events, or do they care more about centers of gravity that have the vision? They care more about vision, or they care more about events? They both have to happen. It's just, how do you write up the proposal?
I have the same problem with the EOS.io Swiss workshop that I made since 2018. And now I have turned it into Antelope Swiss workshop. And I have mindweb.io, the mind maps. So that's cool to have the mind maps to map out the workshops, because after the workshop, you have a mind map. Into the mind map, you have the video of your guests. And on each video, you have the links of the chapter of the video on the mind map to map out the videos into a mind map. And that's make like a gamification. Then you swarm that with EOS bees or Jesse Jaffe. You have 200 bees or 400 bees that are retweeting and liking and putting some memes on your tweets. That's nice engagement. And you have good influencer like Google Mechanics, 13,000 followers. Or maybe Google is not a good example, but sorry. But you have some influencers and you see tractions. So I think if the people are sending links to the mind map, Alien World Fractal mind map, I update the mind map, that will be a cool mind map. Then I do a by-wire article by Michael O'Sullivan, or someone else can also do. I have an account on by-wire. I do a fantastic post, then we tweet that, and we make an RSVP link for the people to join the Alien World, to join the podcast Metaverse by Eric, etc. So that's make a loop of let's say
for example,
a snowball.
So
Yes.
I would say, for example, the Center for Governance creates a mind map to talk about everything governance, and within that are events, and each event has a mind map. By the way, I used to use MindJet. I used to use
MindJet, Mind Manager, MindJet,
I used to use MindJet to plan every single event, and I had everything from mind map for that. But then the focus is the event. So
the focus is the event.
I tend to focus on vision first. Vision first, and then
visualization first, then Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's not all, but you have to look at who you're writing a proposal to, because people think differently. If the people do
yeah.
proposal really concrete start-stop things, then you say, oh, we'll just do event, and then you create this other thing on the side.
No. I am writing my Pomelo grant number 4 for season 4 for MindWeb. And the novelty for MindWeb, it's there will be a mind map, Pomelo MindWeb mind map with the collections into the mind map, because on season 4, November 14, Monday, the novelty of Pomelo season 4 is you can create collections. Every guy has the right to create a collection, one-to-many collections. And into a collection, you put the grant owner project that you believe in. So I can create a metaverse collection. And if Eric is on Pomelo, will be on Pomelo, I could add your Pomelo grant into this collection with others, and then the mind map, MindWeb Pomelo collection mind map is updated. And how is updated? Each time the people make a collection on Pomelo, they can send a link to their collection on Pomelo to the mind map. Then the mind map is updated. Then I do a tweet with the EOSBs. That give awareness for who? For the people that are doing collection in Pomelo, and for Pomelo, and for everyone. And you said after each event you do a MindJet, Mind Manager, Mind Map. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now that's could be cool also if you have a center, a cockpit. Let's say
the center then manages the collection. That's my point.
Voila. An Eric Westrich center, or let's say Metaverse center.
Yeah.
And when you arrive into the center, into the cockpit, it's a cockpit. You arrive into the cockpit, you have tabs, different tabs, and each tab is a dashboard, because a cockpit is a set of dashboards. Like in an airplane, you have a cockpit, and on the cockpit you have different dashboards. So the cockpit is appearing on your screen. You choose the tab, let's say Metaverse, and you have the mind maps about the Metaverse. You click, let's say governance, you have the mind maps about the governance, etc., etc. So you are not just going into an isolated mind map. By the way, the mind maps are connected between them fractally. Let's say not fractally, fractal. They are connected fractal, because a mind map that is pointing to another mind map, and a mind map that is also pointing to another mind map, that's make fractal. What a better way to map out the ecosystem by doing mind maps. And that's searchable. You can write a word. You find all the occurrence of this word into the mind map, not only the branch, also the nodes. You go into the nodes, and the mind maps are translated by using the Translate Me API network by Translate Me, and the bees that are translating the mind maps in Chinese, Korean, 11 languages. And I am using the force of the bees to translate the mind map. And also you can connect the mind map with the Discord, with a Discord server, with a Discord boat programmed in Python. And you press a command, you say, extract Discord channel. He extract the Discord channel, and he create for you a mind map. Then you can enrich the mind map yourself if you don't like, but you can automate the things. And I am also using Zapier to connect with Zapier, yeah. With Jesse Jaffe, for example, Jesse Jaffe, he has the EOSB's tracking swarm, where you see how many what was the payout for each bees, what was the like, the retweet, and I am doing a data analytic dashboard for him. That's the first use case. So I am happy to collaborate with Steven. I am happy to collaborate with Eric when the time comes, but we need some use case first.
I'd like to drive consensus to saying which center do we want to go to and what does it look like? think we
Yeah.
should put in two, one for the Center for Governance, Metaversal Governance or something like that. and one,
that's just huge. But you don't have to wait until that all is programmed. You can do already marketing on Twitter and choose good tags.
but
And
the key is within that collection is your stuff. The mind map can be part of the collection. Dan's, any Dan content show on governance, any podcast you want to have on governance. And so those can all be sub part of the collection. So I think it makes sense to have a center that manages that collection of
a center, a meta center, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we have one for governance and one for
each subject,
digital art, I think that would be the Center for Digital Art and the Metaversal Center for Governance, I think would be two great Pomelo grants.
Because a mind map is always oriented subject. The center of the mind map is always about one thing, one subject. So governance, NFTs, metaverse, Web3, etc. A subject. And then you do a fantastic cockpit where you can on the left choose the tabs. That's infinite tabs, but because it is in one column. On the left, you have the tabs. And when you click a tab, you have the center of the cockpit that is updating with the mind map. So that's where I am. And when I was pitching to Daniel Keys of EOS Nation that on Pomelo season 4, I want to do mind web, Pomelo, mind map collections, mind map. He said, what a good possibility to map out the collection in a mind map. And by the way, I am also on Pomelo. So that's just fantastic to collaborate. But you see only the connection when you are working with the people. Before, you are just speculating. You are just seeing obviously the things when you are doing the things. Before, it's just, I think Alien World is well positioned with what you are doing here, and Hidden Fractal also well positioned. We have to connect the fractals between us and to connect them.
If we a center to manage the vision and
we have the mind maps.
I think that's good. Oh, Stephen's been sitting there and we've been blabbing.
Sorry. We are speaking too much.
I just got too enthusiastic.
Yeah, we are too much enthusiastic. Yeah, sorry.
So just to shift the topic, I gotta go here in a few minutes, but I know Extra couldn't be here. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is that we've gotten an Alien Worlds grant for 100,000 TLM, and the point of it is to back NFTs through NFT Backer with that. But ultimately, our ultimate goal is that we're backing Alien Worlds assets, our NFTs with silver, with the LD2 silver. So initially what we wanted to do is get the Alien Worlds grant and use that to buy silver and back it. They kind of would like us just to use the TLM as the backing itself and then eventually work into the silver. I think it's way less exciting to say that, hey, there's TLM backing these NFTs than to say, hey, you've got silver, attached to these, like real world silver, and make it like you take this metaversal game that is all of a sudden now attached to the real world and it's got real world benefits. So that's one aspect of this. Oh, well, okay. So we've got that grant. When we asked them about what we're going to do with it, like what NFTs we back with it, how the process should work, they said talk to the community, and we brought up the fact that we're on this Alien Worlds fractal, and they said that's a great place. Throw it out to them and see what they think. So we wanted to share this and get some feedback from you guys about first of all, what assets, what NFTs would be good to back, whether it's things like the extractors and the shovels or who knows what. I don't play the game myself, so I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. And then what would be the mechanics of why would it get backed, At what point would it get backed? Is it a reward for mining? Is it of some other aspect of the gameplay? How does that work? So open to suggestions in that, because ultimately we'll take whatever you guys say, hey, we want to see this. And that's what we're going to go back and tell Alien Worlds. This is how the community wants to do it. So
That's the gamification. We should find some gamification for these fractals, like Alien World Fractal. Like we have on Hidden Fractal also, we have the people joining, there are instant, they will win, they will be rewarded in EOS, Hidden Respect and NFTs. Here you are rewarded into Trillium. And if we can connect the coin LD token, Liberty dollar token, by that's extra that is behind that. Yeah, that could be extra, I would say, because the LD coin, the LD token is it's silver. Yeah, it's silver. Yeah, LD2. Yeah, exactly. That could be fantastic to find a way to connect. He was asking me how we can connect, for example, a mind map with a coin. Yes, sure, we could connect a mind map with an NFT, because that's the proof of mind that you have created the mind map.
well, so in this case, we're trying to figure out what specific NFTs in the Alien Worlds game
to attach
this value.
Well, so there's a lot of people that create art for that game. For example, David, his character, Rusty Montano. One thing, if we want to put this together, is the Center for Creative Arts. And so the criteria must be a playable NFT within the game, but people can create new NFTs, key drops. So you can connect this idea of lands and drops with the idea that we're trying to create a digital studio. And then that allows people to be potentially funnels for which gets the privilege to be backed. Just an idea. I'm just brainstorming.
Have you not think?
I like putting this all together, because then you can have Dan interviewing these potential artists, and you have a reason to keep talking about this stuff, not just as one event. As this event's coming up where you get to select, well, how do you do it? Well, now you get to talk about that. Now you get to go out and have the bees and tweet about that. So now what you're doing is you're not just saying leading up to that becomes the event of how do you put things in, when is it happening, who are the artists. You can talk about the artists, you can have people give tips, then it becomes this big discussion, and you can you have Dan creating videos and talking to people. You've got Patrick interviewing.
We were doing an update on Alien World Fractal, update number 2 with Dan. Dan Sinjoy co-hosted with me. We have interviewed Duane Philippi. That was on October 23rd. That was the Alien World Fractal
so the whole point is
number 2.
We can do those.
And we were already the surface with Duane and assets, NFTs, maybe with a value behind to coin. So workshop, I have already my guest, Dancing Joy is part, and I am thinking now that could make sense, because December 9 it's a good date that will be published. We should that will be ready now about this idea into a workshop. into
Yeah, so the key is we
Yeah.
create a strategic mind map that's put that. So if we go to Digicon, guess what we're talking about Digicon, this big event that's coming up where you can get your NFTs back.
Yeah.
Guess what you're talking about it at Comic-Con, same thing. So, you know, as you get these things synergistically supporting each other with this marketing funnel behind it. Then you can turn that marketing funnel into content collections
So
that are being
that's huge, yeah.
published. Then
That's
you
huge.
take
So-
tickets to speak at the big events because you've already got feedback that, oh,
A
they
track
really like
record.
Anders talk on that, so he gets
Yeah.
invited.
competing to get the NFTs backed. These are other collections. This is not the Alien World.
No, you
collection,
can
right?
you can focus on new Alien Worlds collections. That's my point. I mean, the other thing to go that I don't know about is, you know, do you get a shovel and do you back those? I don't know about that. Of Alien Worlds is you can create stories on top of stories on top of stories on top of stories. And I'll use that example is, you know, David Elvian has this character called